extra is I know it's been a long time since we've updated you guys with an email. Everybody's been dealing with this lockdown nonsense. The good thing is it's given us a little bit of time to get our gun shooting good. So we've been spending a lot of time working out some new rifles for Alaska Magnum ARs, shooting them, working up some loads, figuring out what we like and what we don't like. Well, we kind of already knew that. But this is going to be kind of like a brutally honest video. So as some of you guys know, I've got certain preferences in guns, and I've come about with those preferences because I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of guns, and I really shoot probably more than half of the rifles that show up in camp to go hunting with the hunters. I probably fire personally more than half of them. So I fired hundreds of guns, and I just want to touch base on what works and what doesn't. And basically, what I want to say is most of the hunting rifles are junk. They're mostly junk. Okay, even if you spend a lot of money on it, you can spend thousands of dollars on your hunting rifle, and it could have every tricked out component you want. You know, just the machining is just the gilt edge and all of that, but they don't shoot. They don't shoot right. They're not. They may be a good precision instrument. And what I mean by a precision instrument is when you put that thing on your lead sled at the bench and you fire at your target at 100 yards, you can shoot little groups with it, but they're not accurate. Most hunting rifles nowadays, regardless, you know, irrespective of cost, are not accurate. And what I mean by accuracy is hitting what you're aiming at. Okay, so precision is one thing, whereby you can precisely put your bullets in a little small group. Most high-end guns will do that. However, accuracy is completely different. In the field, accuracy, the gun does most of that. Like, I have quite a few clients come without firearms, and they'll use one of mine. And I can say with the right setup rifle, they can hit animals far beyond the farthest shot they've ever made before, first time. And it's the gun. So we need to think outside the box. We need to rethink what makes a good hunting rifle. So in this day and age, there's a lot of high budget components and accurate machining and all of that stuff, but everybody's still thinking inside the box, and they're not making something that's really accurate in the field. So a lot of you guys know that we've kind of pioneered the AR style or semi-automatic rifles. We kind of own that whole market with regards to big game hunting. We make the best big game hunting ARs that there are. However, I know that not everyone wants that nor needs that. So in the last few years we've been branching out into bolt action rifles, and we've really perfected a couple of models on that. This particular model here is the Viper model, and all of the medium action rifles that we're going to build are called the Viper. The long action rifles that we build are called the Beast. So we've kind of eliminated everything that makes people miss with a gun. You know, there's always the nut behind the bolt, you know, the guy driving the rifle. But honestly, that's not usually the biggest hurdle. Usually, I can't hit anything with your guys' guns. I can't hit anything with it. We'll take you guys out to shoot a target, and I may have someone, you know, just to see if the gun's shooting straight. I may have someone shoot that rifle at a target, and they're struggling, you know, in a field position, which it's a good field position. It'll be laying down with a good prone rest, but it'll be on a beach or in a field. And I'll see someone struggling with that, where they're not, you know, one shot's good, one shot's not. And it looks like the gun's got problems. The gun doesn't have problems, because quite frequently, I'll take the gun and I'll look through the scope, and I can tell right away, this thing is just ergonomically terrible. It has no adjustability in the stock. It's way too light. That's one of the bigger problems. But I can't hit anything with it either. Now, if I grab one of our rifles that Alaska Magnum ARs builds, and I put the same individual behind it, shooting at the same target, all of a sudden he's not struggling anymore. He's printing little tiny groups. So the guns are the problem, and I don't care what high-end manufacturer's making these. If they're still stuck in the same 1890 box, which is basically where most of the you can trace the lineage to all these normal hunting rifles, just to ancient technology at this point. It may have a fiberglass stock on it and a stainless steel barrel. It may have a carbon fiber barrel, which is a whole nother can of worms. But still, they're not far removed from something your great-grandfather used. It's basically the same thing. The primary purpose of the weapon is not being met. So the primary purpose of a weapon is to be able to hit and kill. That's it. It's not to be able to carry it or to carry it super easily, like it weighs like a feather. So technology today has advanced in the machinery process and the materials world. So you can buy a hunting rifle from a high-end manufacturer that has high-end material, high-end craftsmanship, but the basic premise is wrong. These guns were designed, and they've not come out of this box at all. They were designed to be carried through the woods and shot at close to moderate range. You know, so I'm talking a couple 100-yard thing, maybe up to 300-yard thing, before the ergonomics and the heft of the rifle start to be your biggest limiting factor. It's not the inherent precision of the rifle and cartridge that's the problem. It's the ergonomics of the rifle that becomes a problem. So, like this particular rifle, a big mistake people make is, number one, their guns are too light. So they've from the get-go defeated the primary purpose of the weapon. The primary purpose of the weapon is to hit and kill what you're aiming at. You can't do that with a light gun. It's virtually impossible. You may be able to hit your target at the bench with the gun in some sort of mechanical contraption. In the real world, when the trophy of a lifetime pops out and he's going from this tree to that tree and he's about to be gone and you better shoot that dude, the lightweight gun is your enemy. Doesn't matter how portable it is. It's your enemy. You're not going to do good. You want to use the heaviest gun that's appropriate for the job. Or I mean, I should say, you want to use the lightest rifle that's appropriate for the job. But that's usually don't get unnecessarily heavy on the rifle for no good reason. But also don't get it too light for no good reason. So start with basically the most you can pack comfortably for the circumstances. And I'm not going to lie, most of our circumstances are not a backpack and 2 bags of freeze-dried food and some protein powder where you saw the handle off your toothbrush because you're trying to stay so light. You and I aren't hunting like that. Don't kid yourself. It's not what we're doing. We're mostly mechanized, using vehicles to get to and from our hunting location. We may have to walk a ways, a few 100 yards, even if it's a mile. It's not some life or death Mount Everest grueling thing. Don't kid yourself. Light rifles are a trend, and they get more and more trendy as time goes on. But it's detrimental to your shooting. The other thing that's detrimental is the ergonomics of the rifle. So just the ability to grab the gun and be looking through the scope. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10, every time I grab one of your rifles and go to look through the scope, I'm not looking through the scope. The scope's too high or the scope's too low, just not right. The stock's too short, the stock's too long. And nobody takes the time to do this. If you don't have adjustability in your stock, which you have to have adjustability in your stock, number one. But if you don't, you have to take the time and effort to move your rings. You have to try different sets of rings to get that scope, so that when you look through it, your eye's looking through that scope. So there's 2 ways to do it. There's the foolish way, whereby you just have an adjustability in your chassis and you start changing mounts and rings. You try up, you try down. Pretty soon you get it kind of close. You know, that's as good as you're going to get. It'll get kind of close to where you're actually looking through the scope when you go to aim at something. So the best way to do it is have adjustability in your chassis. So we use a couple different styles. This particular one is fully click adjustable for length of pull and comb. Once you have that, then you're actually, when you go to shoot, everything's lined up. You're not trying to get yourself into a funny position to actually see what you're aiming at, which is going to hurt your accuracy. The other thing that you want to do, okay, so another thing you want to worry about is, aside from the ergonomics of the rifle, which you're not going to get without an adjustable stock or chassis, you're not going to get there. You're going to have a gun that does not fit you. And if it does, it's a miracle. Like you just caught Bigfoot because they don't fit. You may go to your gunsmith that's building a gun and he may say, oh yeah, your length of pull is this long, you know. So all of a sudden he'll build that stock to that length of pull. So when you pick that gun up wearing the exact same clothes you wore when you had it measured by your gunsmith, you got one hurdle crossed. Your length of pull's right. It's not right when you have a coat on. It's not right when your clothes are different. It's not even right when you're laying down as opposed to sitting down. You have to change it. My length of pull when I lay down is substantially different than when I sit down. So it's important to have adjustability in your stock. Without that, you've wasted your money, period. The other thing you want to do is you want to have a way to deploy the thing in the field to get accurate quickly. Okay, so I like to have bipods, and or tripods. Tripods are actually great. So this is not normally how I would deploy a tripod either. So the beauty of these chassis, and all my chassis, whether they're aluminum or fiberglass, doesn't matter. They all have the full length rail where we can put bipods and tripods on these things. So I can mount a bipod right up here. Let me grab one. So we can mount a bipod on this thing just for deploying in the field, and this would be something that you would just leave on it. Personally, I would just, you know, obviously you want to keep this out towards the end. Personally, I would just leave this on there. It's adjustable for cant and height. We'll leave that on there. But then the tripod is another great thing to have if you're in a stand. If you're hunting from a stand, which we do quite frequently when we're bear hunting, you can put your chair up, you can sit down, you can point this thing where you're going to see the animal, have it all set up, locked in, ready to go, and you're basically aiming in the right direction. Now, because it's a single point attachment, a tripod is not nearly as accurate. You're not going to be able to put the bullets on target nearly as accurately as you will with a bipod in the prone position, which is how we do most of our shooting. However, I'm not gonna lie, shooting sticks are stupid. Offhand is reprehensible. So the best course of action we can have when it's not practicable to get in a prone position with a bipod is to use these tripods, and we set all our rifles up for that. And if you buy one, you can get it with the tripod set up for your gun and a bipod ready to go. So the other thing is that's important is don't have one gun to serve all purposes. What you wind up then is you have a gun that serves no purposes. So I will never, and I wouldn't recommend you do either, I will never switch loads from one gun to the next. I won't try and make this particular 300 Magnum my antelope gun and my moose gun by working up different loads for it. That's senseless. None of us are so poor that we can't have 2 guns or 3. So I like the gun to fill a specific role, and because it's filling a specific role, I have one load for each gun. So we usually work up a load, get the data on the load, and we'll set up a scope so that with one of our setups, you can honestly, I've had many clients shoot animals at, I wouldn't say extreme long range, because extreme long range is, you know, in excess of a mile, but at good long range. So I've had many clients shoot animals with one of our guns whether they bought it from us and brought it, or they just used one of mine, at well over 700 yards, the first time they ever fired the gun. Perfect dead-on shot. So, and that's, there's a few reasons that we're able to do that. The number one of which is just the ergonomics and the setup of the gun. The gun has to fit. The gun has to be heavy, and then it has to shoot with precision. Because you can't deliver that precision accurately if your gun's not set up right. So anyway, I like to have one load with the data for that one load that goes with that one gun, and you can rely on the thing. You can count on that gun to be able to hit up to 1,000 yards accurately, and it's going to be easy to shoot. So I like the guns to shoot themselves, because we're the ones that are going to screw it up at that point. But you don't want your gun to be helping you in that regard. So there's a ton more to this topic. I wanted to introduce you guys to the latest one that we've developed, and this is the Viper model. You can get these from Alaska Magnum ARs through us. We can send them to you. We've got a couple of them in stock now. We build them in all calibers, from 6mm all the way up to .375. We build quite a lot in 7mm Magnum, 300 Magnum. That seems to be a really good all-around hunting caliber. But we can set you up with one of these, and when you get a rifle from us, it's scoped, it's sighted, it's got everything to deploy in the field, it's got the data, you can dial the gun in, and you will hit what you're aiming at. You'll take the gun out, and the very first time, if you have an accurate reading on the yardage and you deploy it like with the equipment that we supply you with, you're going to hit the target at 1,000 yards, first shot. So check it out, give us a call. I want you to go ahead and get with Jana, and she can arrange everything. But next time we address these, we're going to take them out in the field and we're going to shoot them, and I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to show you the difference between shooting a normal setup kind of rifle and one that's set up properly for good long range work. And we'll see you then. Thanks.